I've been journaling for over 365 days in a row. And I've also had a coffee for over 365 days in a row, easily, but we'll talk about that another time. So I started journaling February 26th of 2023, and I actually had the date right there. And this was my first journal I had. When I originally started, I didn't know how consistently I was gonna do it. I literally found the cheapest notebook I could. And it turns out I kind of just caught on the habit real quick and I started loving it. And I don't want to sound cliche when I say like journaling every day changed my life and something drastic happened in my life. I just mean this in a way of I couldn't imagine not journaling now that I've started. And I mean this in a way that these journals right here are very valuable to me at this point in my life. And I think they're going to be even more valuable for me in the future. So like I said, when I started off, I had this real cheap journal. I literally got this at like a job fair and it was only about 60 pages. So it took me to the end of my junior year of college, and then summer started and I got this nicer, bigger notebook for my next journal. And now I'm currently on my third journal right here. I have probably about 70 pages left of it, and it's the biggest one by far. So in this video, I want to talk about 3 things that I think are worth sharing of why you should start journaling, or just what I've gotten out of journaling every single day. So the first thing I want to talk about is why bother journaling. The second thing is my personal method of journaling, because there's a bunch of different ways to do it. And lastly, just the benefits of journaling. So the first thing I want to talk about is why bother journaling. And I just want you to take a second and think about like 20, 30 years in the future. Imagine opening up these notebooks and seeing kind of what you did a few decades ago and just going through your thought process, all the cool things you did or all the struggles that you went through, and just kind of like reading through your life and like think about all the wisdom that might be in there that might be useful for later in life. When I first started, I was doing a lot of new things and exciting things, and I wanted a way to capture these memories for the future. Once I got started, that's what really motivated me to keep going and doing this, because every time I did something cool and stuff, I wanted a way to capture that memory and keep it so one day I could look back and read it, or just to kind of see all the cool things that I did in my life. And like that's why I think it's genuinely fun. I think it's so cool to kind of just capture the moment where I'm at right now. And it's also so nice to just kind of vent your feelings or your thoughts and how you think about certain situations. And that leads me right to my next point of my method of journaling. So like I literally just write significant moments in my day and how I felt about them, how they were and stuff, and just kind of like all the tasks that I got done and how I feel about certain things in my life right now. And it's kind of weird. I write in like a first person view to myself. It's like I'm talking to myself, if that makes sense. Sometimes at the beginning of my entry, at the end of my entry, I just kind of write what I'm grateful for. And it's gotten to the point where I carry this around with me basically everywhere, like in my book bag or if I'm traveling. So sometimes I have a few entries in one day. I try to keep it all on one page, but I just kind of write my thoughts throughout the day if I have time. But the beauty of it is you can do it however you want. There's no rules to it. So if you want to just write one sentence every day of like your goal or your motivation, what you're grateful for, or something cool you did that day, you can kind of start it however you want. It only needs to take a minute a day, honestly. And finally, I just want to talk about the benefits. And there's a bunch of studies and stuff about how it maybe helps your mental health and all that. I don't really follow that. I don't really care about that. I mostly just did it because I thought it'd be cool. The benefits that I have seen is it's a great way to clear your mind. Like when you just write down all your thoughts into one thing, maybe reread it, it kind of makes you step back from a situation that you're in and look at it differently and look at it from an outside perspective. And maybe it's not that important, or maybe it is more important than you thought. And another thing I've noticed is when you're journaling consistently, after a few months especially, you'll start to notice what your priorities are, and you'll start to see similar patterns that you do. Maybe they're good habits or bad habits, but it's kind of just a great way for you to focus your energy on something. If that's like you're realizing what your priority is, it's a great way to kind of narrow down and eliminate all that waste time in the day. And that being said, I definitely think it helps my productivity. And something cool that I do is like before I'm doing homework, before I have to do some type of work, I journal before I do that, and that really helps me clear my mind, so then when it is time to focus, I can focus really well. So that's the end of this video. I just want to say I highly recommend starting to journal. It's okay if you kind of fall off every once in a while, but just pick it back up, because at the end of the day, doing it is better than not trying it. So I definitely think you should start investing in journaling.